Well, hello, Wichita, and welcome to this edition of Council Chat. I am Councilmember Bryan Frye, representing the 5th District, and with me is Vice Mayor, Councilmember Mike Hoheisel, representing the 3rd District. How are you today?
Not too bad. Still smarting a little bit from losing to Denver for the first time since before Twitter existed. So
well, I know, back when things were a lot simpler, but
yes,
unbelievable. But you know, it was going to happen.
Eventually.
At least it happened in Denver and not at Arrowhead.
And to be completely honest, it was getting a little boring, just whooping them time and time and again. So the rivalry's back, I guess. We'll see.
That's right. Well, starting off next week at council meeting on Tuesday, as usual, we'll have our Board of Bid petitions as well as petitions for public improvements. That's pretty standard at every meeting. And then we also have a couple of unsafe structures in District 1. You know, we always try to make every effort to work with the homeowners. This is the last thing we want to see is condemnation. We hate to tear down homes. But, you know, both of these have been going on for months.
Right.
And so I don't know if this is going to be a last resort or not, but we'll hear and find out.
Right. There's quite a process before it gets to where we're actually knocking the house down.
Right.
And again, like Councilmember Frye said, this isn't what we want to do, but there's so many public safety issues surrounding unkept houses, abandoned houses. You have people squatting in them. You have wildlife that take over the area. So we owe it to the public to actually look out for their health and well-being. So that's the stage we're at here.
And coming to council is typically a last resort.
Right.
We've exhausted every other possibility. We've tried everything. We've had multiple opportunities for the homeowner to make fixes, and so this is the last resort. And again, we hope we don't get there, but we'll see. And usually it's nice. There are some surprises, and we get to save a house. So.
Yeah, that's always a pleasant part of our meetings when we actually get to see some positive results there. We'll also be discussing allocating $100,000 to support entrepreneurial services with Nexus. Well, also in my district, we're considering a petition for a CID, a community improvement district in Saddle Creek. It's a commercial district that can help enhance growth in the area, pay for some of the infrastructure, some of the improvements around there. So it's usually a good debate or a good discussion about the true purpose of this. We want to make sure that we provide the proper financial incentives for people to help develop certain areas and the tools and resources to do that as well. So this will just be to set the hearing for it. We'll be hearing the actual policy or the actual item here in December. So.
And Saddle Creek is 47th and Broadway.
47th and Broadway.
It's the site of the old Kmart.
Yeah.
There's a Dollar Tree. Godfather's
Pizza.
It's the only Godfather's left in Wichita, and I occasionally will go down there and pick up a pie because I was raised on Godfather's Pizza. I know it's a Pizza Hut town, but I was raised on Godfather's Pizza.
Sacrilegious.
We're also going to be taking up a contract for police officers to work security when they're off duty, and this will be having one central contract, a management company, to do this instead of it being done internally by police. I know the Sheriff's Department has already done this, and I think it's the same company that the Sheriff's Department is using, so that when citizens or businesses need to hire secondary duty officers, they will work through this company instead of working through our department. It just makes it a lot cleaner and simpler process.
Right.
We'll also be looking at improvements to Pat Garcia Veterans Memorial Park. This is in District 6, and it is one of those 10 parks that we have that really don't have a lot of services or amenities in it. It's very undeveloped, and there's an opportunity to do some fitness equipment. We got a grant to help offset some of the cost and put in a flagpole and just really kind of dress it up, but also create some programming within the park instead of just being green space. And yes, we need green space, but to have some amenity in there that the residents can use, to help fully develop it out. It's about a 1.6 acre park, so it's not very large, and it's not going to be a huge outdoor fitness area, but again, something else for the community.
Oh, absolutely. Our park system, I think, is the crown jewel of our city government here. I know you served for years on the Parks Board
I
and
did.
helped get a lot of these things going. We're seeing the fruits of your labor on it here. And it's just, we're always looking for ways to improve. We got a lot of exciting things going on with our park system.
You know, when I travel in other cities, I always like to check out their parks.
Yeah.
And see what they're doing versus what we could be doing here. I think that's what really makes a community.
Yep.
And defined by your open space and your quality of life. And during COVID, we saw our park use just increase incredibly because people were outdoors and trying to do things. And we saw a lot of attention and a lot of demand and a lot of requests for improvements. And this will be one that is long needed.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And just creating memories, too.
Yep.
Some of my earliest memories are going fishing at Watson Park.
Nice.
And first fish I ever caught is a little bluegill. I thought I was the best fisherman in the world. But again, parks, that's what parks brings you, is a quality of life that we don't otherwise see. So,
Have you ever done the polar plunge at Watson Park?
I have
on New
not
Year's
done
Day?
the. Maybe this year. How's that? I'll go out there with you, Brian.
Oh, there we go.
We'll go viral for something eventually.
That's right.
We're also going to be looking at our 2024 splash pad maintenance plan and an MOU with Kansas Alliance for Wetlands and Stream Soap protect and restore streams, wetlands, rivers, prairies, wildlife, and habitat. They're popular. I know there's issues with pools and making sure that we have access to pools, but the splash pads are a great
absolutely.
thing to bring your kids and family out to, and just let them run around just like we used to do with the hose and the lawn. And it's a little more high tech than that, a little more enjoyable, but you go out there and bring the kids out there, man, and you see the enjoyment that they're having, and it warms your heart.
Yeah,
so.
they've gotten a lot of demand, a lot of use.
Yep.
Especially with the Aquatics Master Program and how we increased our splash pad inventory. Our water playgrounds is what I like to call them. But it's, again, you don't have to have lifeguards for them. They can operate longer throughout the year. And it's a quick, easy way to cool off and enjoy and some nice recreation. So, but they do get use, and so there's some maintenance that has to get done without a doubt. So that way next year they can be ready to roll.
Right, and that's one of the things. Nothing's more frustrating. I know we had the one at Linwood Park that had some issues this year and didn't get open and off the ground. So hopefully this is going to help address these issues beforehand and just have that amenity out there for the public to enjoy and tire the kids out and bring them home and put them to bed and take a nap. Because that's the best part of it right there. And more water-related items, discussing our agreement with the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation. The proposed agreement would provide an additional $7,920,000 for reimbursement of previously completed ASR Phase 2 construction costs. Reimbursed funds will be utilized for forthcoming ASR and Equisbed well field projects to ensure ongoing sustainability of the ASR project, which this is something that's obviously a big concern of us moving in and out of the droughts that we have nowadays. Water security is obviously one of the main concerns that we have going forward in the next couple of decades, especially with some of the changes that we're seeing out there. So,
well, and this is such an important project because we get our water supply from the Equus beds, the well fields around the Arkansas River, and then Cheney Lake.
Yep.
And being able to keep that ASR and the well field project operational keeps the salt plume that's in there back by having it fully recharged. And having this money to continue to upgrade this facility and keep it operating, this is the project was much more than the $7.9 million.
Right.
But getting this money from the federal government certainly helps us because if we don't keep that salt plume back, then we have to build a desalination plant, and we don't want to go do that. And so this is important to have this to continue to keep our water supply, especially in drought conditions, so that way we're not drawing upon just Cheney Lake.
right.
And so this is a great, I don't want to call it a gift, but the funding source is great for us and really important work as the drought continues, like you said. So.
And this is something that you've been working on for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And, something that you're very intimately familiar with. So.
Yep. If you're not taking a tour of it, it's pretty impressive. It's amazing what they've done up there and how we've been able to utilize the runoff from the Arkansas River and keeping it underground where you don't get as much loss to evaporation. And again, we're supplying water for 500,000 customers,
Right.
not just the city of Wichita, but surrounding communities.
Yeah.
And it's such an important responsibility of local government to do this and do it well. And hats off to our public works team, because they're the ones that have identified this and keep it operating. Former college buddy of mine, Sean Maloney, runs it, and he does a great job out there. So
The unsung
good
heroes.
shout out to Sean.
Yeah, the staff definitely does not get enough credit.
Yeah.
We're just the pretty faces up here, everybody. So the staff does a lot of the main work, the tough work, and they don't get near enough credit from everybody. So a special shout out to them.
Yep. A couple of public safety items. We're gonna We're gonna amend a couple of speed limit ordinances. One around Southwest Boulevard at West Street and Pawnee, and then as well as the interchange of K42 and I-235. We do this from time to time where we have adjusted speed limits just because of the traffic counts and the accident rates.
Yeah.
And so that's what this is doing, just kind of making it safer. And then we'll also have a couple of grants for the Wichita Police Department. One is $500,000 from the Bureau of Justice Assistance National Public Safety Partnership, and then another one from the COPS grant. Collectively, it's about $2 million. These grants will be used to help fund a real-time crime center, and this is modeled after ones that our chief has seen in other communities, using cameras, a network of cameras to help monitor issues. Being able to track stolen vehicles,
Right.
just being able to have technology as an aid to our police department. So that way you don't always have to have bodies everywhere. You can use cameras and surveillance to help identify hotspots, crime, activity, and so forth. And especially in recovery of stolen items.
Yeah.
So it's not Big Brother, but it's to aid in recovery and solutions.
And then also neighborhood dumping. I remember hearing
Yep.
Councilmember Blueball, after he toured one of the sites with you guys, talking about how much resources are dedicated to putting an end to neighborhood dumping, and that's a big one in my district and a lot of districts out there. So, we got to take a look, and we got to have a good, open discussion about what we're doing moving forward. But Chief Sullivan is very encouraged by
Yeah.
the steps we're taking here.
Yeah.
So,
And getting these grants really help offset that cost,
Right.
because those are very expensive cameras and equipment, and so you got to have that startup.
yeah. And on another note, that intersection you talked about earlier, we will be having some construction over there to improve the intersection. I don't know how many of you are familiar with around West Street there. It's a real pain in the neck, especially that's right down the street from my grandma. So I'm looking forward to seeing the improvements done there as well. Finally, big news for the week. We'll be discussing funding for an emergency winter shelter to help our homeless residents. We've been working on this for months now, and every single council member is involved. We've partnered with county, partnering with the state as well to find solutions, and we've come across a location, and we've got a solid plan out there, and this will just be the item moving forward, the funding from some of the federal funds that we have to help fund this. So it's, everybody was outside trick-or-treating or outside over the last weekend, and it's cold out there already.
Yeah.
And it's going to be cold again, and we have to make sure that we treat people like human beings and make sure that everybody has a place to go to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, a couple of important things I think need to be added to this. I participated in the point-in-time count last January, and it was one of the coldest days of the year. And we started at 4 in the morning, and we wrapped up about 11. Well, at 11, it was still really cold. And our winter shelters have not been 24-hour shelters. This will be a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week emergency shelter.
right.
That is an improvement from what we've had in the past, because there are days during the daytime when it can be below freezing.
Right.
And these folks had no place to go, and now they will. So I think that's an important thing. Also, we've been working on this for months.
Months.
We have been trying to identify a site that would work. And it's always challenging trying to find a site like this because there's a phrase we use at City Hall all the time called NIMBYs.
Yep.
Nobody wants this type of thing in their backyard, and it's difficult to find a spot that's going to satisfy everyone. You're just not going to. And then you start looking at renovation cost and transit routes, and is there enough space? Is there bathrooms? What's going to work? Is it secure? This particular site is one that the city already owned, so we're saving money that way.
Yeah.
And it only became available because a tenant that we had in there was able to move into their new facility and became vacant.
Yeah.
And so it's like, wow, this is really working out well. And it's large enough, it's got bathrooms, it's got gated security, it's on transit route. It works for a lot of solutions. A temporary solution.
Temporary until
right?
March.
And that's the other thing.
22 weeks.
We need to remember that we're still working on the MAC, the multi-agency center that would have congregate shelter and housing and services all wrapped into one facility. That's still going to take us a little bit more time. So this is, I don't know,
short-term.
a short-term solution, right? While we continue to work on the long-term. But for a lot of reasons, this site works out well. We've been notifying the neighbors and making sure that the businesses all understand what's going on. And we've been having meetings with our county partners and our legislative partners to everybody understand what's going on. And fortunately, we're in a position where we're able to use federal dollars to help pay for this. So it's frustrating, I know, for a lot of people because they feel like we haven't been doing this, but we've been working on this for a very long time. Our staff in the housing department and city manager's office, council members, hot team, everybody's been working on a solution. And so this is an important step, but the main thing is it's going to be a 24/7 shelter.
That should be large enough, up to 250 people. And it also, a couple of things to add in, it will also free up space for an additional 60 beds for families, women and children. So, because you can't house them with the general population. That's another aspect of this I don't think people are really aware of is we're also beholden to HUD standards as well. So a lot of the money that we use to combat homelessness and to care for people, it comes with strings attached. It comes with certain requirements. So that's what also made a number of the buildings ineligible for us to actually move into, because there was issues there and there was major work that has to be put in. And something else along the lines with the cost. We're not trying to be cheap here. We still have a medium-term solution that we have to look at over the next 2 or 3 years. And any money we spend on a new building, on renovation costs,
or rentals of something.
Or leasing it out. That's money that and resources we're not going to be able to have next year and the year after until we get the MAC, the multi-agency center built. So this is, I think, the best solution that we have, and we've got a number of people on board, and we're going to make sure that we do everything to make sure that it's secure, safe, and efficient.
And the other thing that's to our advantage right now is we got a break with some warm weather over the next week or so, and maybe we can, depending upon what all needs to get done, how much of that can get done in time to be ready for that next cold snap. Because the facility is pretty much turnkey. Just a few things we need to get done. All right, let's talk about this weekend. I know you just talked at Agenda Review about a neighborhood cleanup you got going tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Right? And it's a combined one with District 4?
It's at 47th and Broadway. I believe the Dollar General right around there is where we're going to meet. It's a neighborhood that hasn't had a cleanup in quite a while. If you don't have an active neighborhood association, it's pretty difficult to get a neighborhood cleanup organized. So every once in a while we'll try and show some love to people and organize an event like this. So I'm going to be up there just dressed like a scrub like I used to be, and working and moving things along.
So is it just for that neighborhood, or can anybody, I mean, how are you communicating this to folks? How are you communicating?
We have it on our district pages. We did do a leaflet drop in the neighborhood here 2 or 3 days ago. So it's out there. It's just like a neighborhood cleanup. We're going to have a dumpster. We're going to have a couple of trucks out there. So
taking tires, mattresses, scrap metal.
We'll have to check with our CSR, but that sounds about right if it's a neighborhood cleanup.
I know when we've had a couple of cleanups in a neighborhood association that I have in my district, and the amount of tires and scrap metal that show up with these are amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know who stores bald tires in their yard and in their house, but evidently they do, and it's hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
And so it's always good to have that instead of sitting up collecting water and
Right.
so forth.
And
So
areas, pockets of water for mosquitoes to
yeah,
lay their eggs. And-
exactly.
Yeah, and it's amazing the amount of money that the scrappers come by and they pick up all the scrap metal, and that saves us because it's less that we have to take to the dump, and it helps them out as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely. So Councilmember Johnson and Tuttle and I are competing in cooking for a cause to benefit the Pando Initiative tomorrow night at Scottish Rite Temple. Last year, the three of us won Best Booth. We had pothole chili.
yeah.
And this year, our theme is Air ICT, Travel with a Taste. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow night. It's a lot of fun. I think there's 39 different teams cooking different food samples. And so we're not chefs. We're booth decorators. So we hope to have some fun with that. So,
yeah.
And then Sunday morning, you get up early and watch the Chiefs.
Oh yeah, it's
Right?
8:30 this week. They're playing in Germany.
Yeah.
They're playing the Dolphins. It's going to be a good game. We're going to see our old friend Tyreek Hill again. He's been acting a little crazy lately, talking about the Chiefs.
Does
But
Taylor Swift make the trip?
oh boy, an international trip. Is she in the middle of a tour now?
I only ask this because the last two council chats, they have been Chiefs questions for the surprise question. So I'm hoping that today's surprise question is not a Chiefs one. Okay, good. So,
Well, we can send her in on a hologram if that's what we need for luck.
all right. Would you rather be turned into a crab or a spider?
What's the lifespan of a crab?
They can be eaten.
Yeah. See, I always, I would have some caution. Like, it's a crummy life if you're living in the ocean, right?
I don't know. I get to swim. I get to see scenery. Probably better than living in a dark, dangy spider.
But there's safety in that. You go to an attic or something and you're okay. I mean, if you're in the ocean, you're on the smorgasbord
And that's
24
true.
hours a day.
That's true, but a good shoe will end your life if you're a spider.
That's true. So do we get to keep our intelligence, I guess, would be the, or do we just turn into a random?
I don't know. I suppose I'd say a crab. You can't win either way here.
You can. I would go spider. I just feel like I have a little more control over my environment. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe, what do crabs eat? Is it little parasites,
Plankton, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't sound appealing either way. So
Well, I don't know. I'm a big seafood fan, so I guess being a crab, I could eat other seafood. So
well, you might be the seafood. How's that?
that's true. That's true.
All right. Well, thank you, Wichita, for joining us. And my good friend Bryan here, and I've appreciated all the guidance and help that you've given me over the last 2 years.
Thank you. It's a teamwork. We work together.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir. And I hope everybody out there is staying safe and warm, and go Chiefs. And be sure to subscribe and follow on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.